the whole thing behind, the 12 months to 1 million is based on this formula that he presents. I think he says it basically a couple of times in this book, and shamefully I'll probably butcher it, but here's the reason why the book's titled what it is. He basically says if you can take 3 to 5 products that are priced at roughly $30 per product, and then you can sell 25 of those products each a day, that's $1 million business. All right, welcome back to the Country Boy Book Club. Tonight we are going to start discussing a book I've been previewing a little bit in the shorts, 12 Months to 1 Million by Ryan Moran or Moran. I guess at some point we'll figure out how to say his last name properly, but this book is a favorite of mine because of the title. It's like such a clickbait title that it's one of those, all right, dude, too good to be true. But he did it on purpose, right? Like he knew what he was doing when he named this book. And full disclosure, this is like a chapters long advertisement basically for his his capitalism brand, which is like his his conference that he throws and his back room and all these different things that are associated with basically what he has as a business incubator. But that aside, it's still a useful book. It's a very motivating book, and it's a good way to kick things into gear if you're trying to get something started, like what he presents in this book.
I feel like as someone who doesn't have a large idea of what all would go on into creating a business, I think it does a really, really good job of being like, hey, here's some steps. Yep. Do them. And I don't know, it's very straightforward and easy to understand. Yeah. I'm really curious if it works. But yeah, 12 months to $1 million, man.
It works if you make it work. It's like with anything. Are you gonna be like ultra successful based on this one book that we're reading together? No, but it will be funny to become successful and look back and say it all started with 12 months to 1 million.
Yeah, as he talks about in the book, to become part of his, I guess, inner circle.
Yep. And that's what I'm talking about. That's the advertisement.
And that's one of the things that he kind of goes over in the book, is the reason why he's writing it is in order for him to get to where he needs to be next to be happy in life, I guess, is to create a large number of, I don't really want to say successful businesses, because I feel like he's already made the ones, but he needs a large number of, I guess, of people that he's helped for whatever reason.
It's not for whatever reason. What he's doing is these people that he's helping, which he is helping, he's also taken a huge chunk of their companies, for himself. He's basically investing in the companies, and he's acting as, this incubator.
Yeah, I remember now. He said
to build the company up and sell it. What did he say?
He said something along the lines of keep investing in a small portion of the company, and he says some percent, 25%. I'm like, that's a quarter.
Yeah,
it's not a small percent.
Yeah, no, he knows what he's doing, man, and I can't blame him. He's figured something out, obviously, because we're reading this book, so there's something to be said for that. He didn't fall on his face with this stuff, and he's had a successful podcast for a while, it would seem, and he's had some very successful people at his conferences, full disclosure, I haven't really dug that deep into Ryan yet, and that is something that I want to do here. Is to like show the audience. All right, well, what does Ryan have going on? What is going on at the capitalism conference? So that's something that I think we can dig into as we continue through this series, which is, this is day one for us of starting this series, right? And I think we're going to try to take this infant, baby, tiny little idea and really run with this, run it through the exercise. Because worst case scenario is, well, we just practiced. This is, I do want to run a business with you, and even if we fall on our face with this one, so what? Because I think we've got a decent approach here where, neither one of us are in a position right now where we can, take these big financial risks. We're not going to be dumping $80,000 into, inventory, out of our savings account. We might come up with $80,000, and invest it into inventory, but,
I mean, I'm willing to start an OnlyFans right now to come up with the money for.
Go ahead, please.
But no,
please do.
I'm glad you kind of brought that
subscribe. Up. Hey, I know you already got your OnlyFans account, so just look them up. I don't know how that works, but you do. So
I won't be on there. Just don't look.
Damn it!
Won't be on there.
I hope so.
It will be. My OnlyFans is gonna be in a couple of months when there's finally weeds growing in my field. I'm out there with a hoe, like an actual hoe.
Ooh.
So, but I'm kind of glad you brought up failing, because I of course it's not the goal, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of scribbled something on a piece of paper. I'm okay with failing as long as we're growing.
Yeah.
And I thought that was I was like, yeah, sure. I'm trying to find it, but he was talking about with his I think it's chapter 2 when he talks about sitting down with and having dinner with Tim Ferriss. And so just getting into Ryan and everything, he kind of had a moment to where he had sold a business for a lot of money, and then he kind of felt, I guess, empty. But so he sat down with Tim Ferriss. If you don't know who Tim Ferriss is, look him up. He's does some big things. But Tim Ferriss tells him there are plenty of things not worth pursuing, but that doesn't mean that it isn't worth doing. You see, even if the thing isn't worth it, the pursuit is. So that's where I'm at. It's let's just pursue.
Yeah, I love it. So Tim Ferriss, I've got two Tim Ferriss books. I've got the 4-Hour Work Week, which I got 10 years ago, which blew my mind because it seemed to be such a groundbreaking book, like a 4-Hour Work Week. It was again one of those clickbait type titles. I've also got Tools of Titans, which is this massive book, and basically what that one is a transcript of his entire podcast, where he brings on all of these different interesting people, very successful people. So just so you know who that guy is, he is, he's a very influential person in what we are doing here today. To simplify it as much as possible. And that was a quote that I liked a lot. And another one that I thought came from the same section, but I'm realizing it came from later, was nobody knows what they're doing. I just lost the quote. But that's it, man. And that's why I'm willing to take on, this type of ideas. Like, well, there aren't that many people that started a business that felt 100% confident that they had everything figured out before they got started. They just got out there and, started figuring the thing out as they went along. I feel like, probably shouldn't say this out loud, but that's how I've got to where I'm at in my career. And I feel like the executives above me have done the same freaking thing, and it's like...
Yeah, I feel like we've had almost the same exact conversation before. But we brought up fake it till you make it kind of deal. And like you fake it and you never this comes from nursing, like this is 90% my background. But situations are going to come up, things are going to happen, and you're not going to know what to do, but you figure out what you're supposed to do, and then you go from there, and you fake it enough to where you have that self-confidence to be able to be like, yeah, I can take on anything. And I think, man, while it's now that I'm sitting here talking about it, even if you can't make $1 million in a year, in 12 months, the way his writing style, I really, really have to sit down and just mention, like, I just appreciate it, especially because I'm listening to it on Audible, so I don't know, everything just kind of flows. He did a really good job writing this book. What was it even saying now? But yeah, you fake it till you make it. Eventually, you're going to learn things.
Right.
Even if it's as something as simple as just happen to have a wood screw laying here. Even if it's as simple as something as a wood screw, if you go at it like I'm going to use a screw and join two pieces of wood together, eventually you're going to look at the top. My kids have been playing with stuff. There's food or something in it. I don't know.
Oh,
Play-Doh. But you look at it and you're like, man, that's a bit I've never seen before. And you go from there. You figure it out and you learn something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the main thing is no one knows what we're doing. No one knows what they're doing. We don't know if it works, if it doesn't work, but learn something from it, even if you fail. What can I do next time that would be better?
So I think it's time to like start talking about the idea that we have, right? And I think to at least cap this episode off today, we'll get into like some of the higher points of like, okay, well, what does he actually go into in this book? So to start, we've already mentioned that we're not willing to sink any of our savings into this right now to get it started. We just can't, like we've got tiny children at home. We're growing in our careers, but it doesn't mean that we're like well off, either one of us financially yet. So we can't take that leap, but we do want to take this leap, which is starting to run a business. So what do we have in common? What is, something that we both really enjoy and that we know we would enjoy running a business centered around? And I think that question was answered immediately when we first started having these conversations, right? Like, and that is being on the water. There are just so many different things that we enjoy doing together that involve being on the water. And so, more specifically, given where we are financially, the ultimate goal is to provide high quality, low cost water sport products, whatever that may be. And we've talked a lot about this already offline. Like, we've got to start small. But the big vision for me is like, selling these affordable boats, at our dealership that is, in these small town, like waterfront towns where, we just celebrate being on the water, like shows happening all the time, like just crazy things. But we got to start small, and basically where we're going to start is just trying to make up some t-shirts and sell those to kickstart this damn thing, and get some of the real products that we will be bringing to market through what we learn in 12 months to 1 million. But that's how we're going to get there. We've got to get some cash flow happening first through just trying to sell some of these t-shirts that we hope that you will like, which will then in turn help us get started. So that's where we're at. I mean, what did I miss, man? What can you say about this whole thing?
Well, that's right there. And I feel like what we're discussing is a part of the book, because he kind of talks about I mainly remember a lot from the first couple of chapters from the book. That's where I've finished it, but I'm still like listening to it over and over, because just listening to something one time, you don't absorb all the information. But I was re-listening to it today, like the first 3 chapters or so, and he talks about one of the fun things with starting your own business is the late nights talking to your partner, and just like what. So I'm a farmer. One of the business ideas we threw out was like, hey, I'm going to grow some tomatoes this year. Would you be interested in like putting a tomato in a pot, just like a little 3 or 4 gallon pot, and just growing a tomato to show people that, hey, anyone can do this, and then we can just sell like a kit to grow your own tomatoes on your back porch or something.
Yep.
Other things we've kind of thrown out was like fishing poles, rod and reels, but we quickly were just like, there's way too many.
I'm not done with that one. I'm not putting that one to bed.
I'm not either, but it's just, I don't know. So the thing that he kind of mentions in the book is because he talks about this when you don't really necessarily choose a product, you choose choose people to sell to.
Yep.
Right? You sell to the person, and that as he's talking about stuff like that, he I'm gonna go off subject a little bit more, but he goes through like different things that the different aspects of an entrepreneur. Oh, words are hard, man. But different aspects of an entrepreneur. Yeah. And he kind of gives a definition. I have some notes, but I'm just gonna free range it. But sure. One of the things is you want to find a problem, take responsibility for that problem, and try to find a solution around it. So that's one of the things that we're thinking, and t-shirts, like why t-shirts? So the other part is because we've obviously have defined like just people that love to get out on the water.
Yep.
No matter how you do it, congratulations, you're on the water. Like that's it.
Yep.
And it's one of those things to where I'm sure you can agree with this. Is I've fishing, I've waded in chest deep water to go catch brim out of a lake, and then just your casual pond and lake, drive to the edge and cast or whatever. Boats, kayaks, surf fishing, any kind of freshwater. You have ponds, lakes, rivers, saltwater, onshore, inshore, off a pier. I'm not good at any of it, but I've done it all, and I love it all. And then there's just like a duck hunt.
I wouldn't
so
say you're
I'm
not
always
good
on a
at
boat.
any of it. Like, holy crap, man, you've caught some monster fish. Yeah, I didn't mean to
success. No, you're fine. Success is defined by the individual, and as long as I can bring a fish home that I can eat, I'm happy. But
although
then
you aren't eating any of
there's
those
the other
alligator
side.
gar. But yeah, there's the duck hunting. Yep, go ahead with that.
It's long-nosed gar, and I have eaten them. But there's duck hunting, which we're running, and then there's just like the whole outdoors of it, to where sometimes you jump in your boat and go upstream to where there's a dry spot and throw the tent out and build a fire, and it's just that boat is just so important. But anyway, just getting on the water, even if you're not using it, but just something. But yeah, anyone who does anything like that, they have to wear a shirt. And there's nice shirts, right? The fast drying ones, the ones that aren't real thick or anything, that the wind blows through, that keep you cool during the summer, things like that. Because he also talks about the more when you're looking at a market that you're trying to get into, and for us it's kind of like water sports, boating, something like along those lines. I don't even have a definition for it, but those kinds of people, the more micro that you can go, the faster you'll see your company grow. So that's what we were thinking is find a way to sell nice t-shirts that people will appreciate, that makes their time on the water more enjoyable. Because part of being an entrepreneur is serving your people, serving your clients.
Yep. Absolutely.
And
that's like it's low entry for us, right? Because we got to get started somehow. And the bigger thing is, like, it's something that we know that you'll enjoy, because you probably already like wearing t-shirts. So as long as we don't mess up the design too awful bad, we should have a win-win there. And I gotta apologize, man. I can see that I'm probably gonna start cutting you off again, king of cutoff here, because it looks like I'm lagging really bad. So apologies in advance, man.
No, you're fine.
Man. Fine. So that's pretty much the idea. And one thing that I'm realizing in shooting this episode now is like, okay, well, we probably need to work on the elevator pitch a little bit to hone this thing in a little bit better for people to understand. My rough stab at the elevator pitch as it stands right now is we want to start a company that is for helping common folk, everyday folk, get on the water. So it would be something along those lines. But that's something that we can work on as we get into this series. I kind of want to get into the book a little bit at this point, because we're going to spend the next 12 months talking about this idea.
Right.
And so 12 months to 1 million is available on Audible, which is super useful. And if you are a subscriber of this channel, you know that we went into a lot of detail with 12 rules for life. We're not going to do the exact same thing here. I just kind of wanted to hit some of the high points, and basically what I'll do is like we'll loop back around and do like a very focused breakdown of all the information that we found useful in the book later on. But tonight I just want to cover some high points, which is like number one, the importance of setting specific financial goals and creating a plan to achieve those. Like, that is one thing that he goes over in this book. And that, to circle all the way back around, that's one of the things is where it's like, okay, is him telling you that going to get you there? No. Like, you're going to have to put a lot of thought, into A, what are those financial goals? And B, okay, well, how are you going to get there? He kind of gives you some steps to follow as far as like creating the plan and getting those goals. But this is like where, he kind of he leaves you wanting more, right? And there's just no way to like pack that much information into this kind of book. But good for him, right? Because like if it does leave you wanting more, there is a chance you just, join his group, which is what he was hoping for the entire time. And dude, feel free to jump in here with any of your notes, man, because I can just rapid fire this at this point.
Because I kind of have a large sum that kind of sums basically the book up as a whole. I didn't even realize that I had it until I looked at it. Because I had the chapter list pulled up, and I just realized that I kind of wrote the series of steps that he goes through, and it's just the chapters of the book. And it just never occurred to me.
Let's hear it.
But yeah, so and it's really simple stuff. So the first step is the opportunity, and in chapter 1 he goes over the landscape of opportunity. And honestly, I didn't need to hear most of what was in that chapter, because I just know there's something out there that you can do to make money. Like, yep. and I don't want to keep bringing it up to like the money. I don't know. It's hard for me. He talks about it at one point about like people who have the slice of the pie mentality. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So people who have that slice of the pie, like, how can I get my slice of the pie? Well, there is no pie. It's just out there. It's not about obtaining money. It's about creating value. I think those are the words that he kind of says.
Yeah, it's basically like if you've got the slice of the pie mentality, there's only one pie.
Right.
Why not make the pie? Right. Basically.
But I don't want to say that there was just a lot of things in me that reading like kind of through some of those things, because I'm a nurse and I get paid to be a nurse. I want to help people, but you also have to pay me a livable wage, kind of thing. Like what I feel like I'm worth. So, what I feel like I'm worth. What is it whenever you're tired and you're late at night? You feel like your southern accent just barfs every word. Mm-hmm. Anyway, but yeah, like I just know that there's opportunity out there. You just have to find it for yourself, right? Find what you want to do. Number 2 is the mindset of an entrepreneur. And I feel like I just covered some of that. The slice of the pie, that was part of that. Number 3 is like how to get customers. Let me look at the actual chapters. You had 3. Choose your customer. We kind of discussed that already. Yep. Chapter 4 is develop your first product. We talked about that already. Chapter 5 is funding your business, which we are trying to figure that out right now.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and hold on, because we haven't figured out our first product. We figured out the catalyst to funding this project, right? We hope, at least. But once we see some cash flow from this fundraiser, let's just call it that. Then I think it's going to be like, okay, well, where are we in the year? Are we going to have time to get a duck hunting product ready for market in time for duck season? Or is it going to be, are the trout running? Are the tarpon running? Like, where are we? What part of the year is really going to be like what I think is probably going to be what helps us determine what our first product is.
Okay. Yeah. I'm with you there. Because just like we were just talking about fishing poles, and me and you had a discussion, and you were like, what's your favorite fishing pole? You just threw that out there.
Yeah.
And I had like 15 different setups that I talked about, right? And like we kind of have an idea of something for but anyway. Yeah. We don't know what his first product is.
His favorite setup was the old Brim Buster.
It's very specific actually. I didn't tell you everything about it. The one that I had back in the day that I remember it just worked really, really well. It was a 9-foot Brim Buster with about 6 inches or so broke off the tip, and then you refixed it so that way you had a lot of. It just worked better in the brush in the swamp. But I don't. Moving on. I don't want to get into it. Let's talk about the book.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
But yeah.
All right. So financing was the last thing that you brought up in the book.
Right, funding.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I don't really. I know that you can always do the I actually think you brought it up in a short, but the business loan with a high percent interest rate, which is okay to do as long as you're going to pay it off as fast as possible. And
I want to modify that, because like that is one thing that I'm dead adverse right now. I've got enough of that in my own personal life, so like the thought of building a business with debt is not on my radar, or at least wasn't. But basically what he was saying is like, all right, you've started this product, right? You've successfully sold this product to the point where you can't keep up with your inventory. It's at that point in which you can say, okay, well, this 30% loan that I could take out to buy this inventory that I know I could sell because I literally can't keep it on the shelves, that 30% loan is worth the 500% markup, or profit, whatever it is, that I'll get on the back end from taking that loan. Which still is like, I can't even imagine, profit margins like that. Like with us trying to start this company to provide, affordable products to people, I want to be able to cover the overhead, build the business, and pay ourselves a living, salary, and that's it. That's the goal with this business.
Right. And you can't pay yourself a living salary until what part? Do you remember? So this is the bad thing of how we kind of record is I just am an empty sponge and just take things in that don't really matter.
I think it's called podcasting.
Yes. So there's and he goes over this. There's different stages and as I'm going through the chapters, it's listed this way too. But there's different stages to building a business, and the first 1 to 4 months, which is the hard months, is the grind, which is when you're I'm probably going to get the chapters kind of out of order, but it's the chapter 1, the opportunity, the mindset, getting customers, and the product. I mean, the funding, stacking the deck, and the launch, all that probably part of it too. I don't remember off the top of my head, but yeah. So during the grind, you don't take, even during the growth, he kind of says not to really take. Your growth period is 5 to 8, and that's when you're doing 25 sales per day, and you're launching new products. And then the golden stages is that 9 to 12, where he kind of just says, follow the plan, and don't sell your company too fast. Like, wait, because you don't know what kind of new markets you're going to reach out to. What product you might launch that might sell more than anything else that you've done so far, and all that is just going to make your business worth more before you eventually sell to majority of your stocks to some huge conglomerate, right?
Bass Pro Shop. So I just realized that I can't believe we haven't covered this till now, but you basically just touched on it. So the whole thing behind, the 12 months to 1 million is based on this formula that he presents. I think he says it basically a couple of times in this book, and shamefully I'll probably butcher it, but here's the reason why the book's titled what it is. And he basically says, if you can take 3 to 5 products that are priced at roughly $30 per product, and then you can sell 25 of those products each a day, that's $1 million business. And what he means by that is, like, you will just barely squeeze by, just shy over $1 million if you can successfully set up that model. And for us, that means, okay, well, then we would be grossing $500,000 because there's 2 of us, and really, like, all of that money would need to go back into the business with, the vision and the aspirations that we have here. So we would make $0 but have $1 million business.
So I think the other thing that's important to know, he kind of talks about it. The goal is to create a business, grow it to $1 million, where the business is worth $1 million, and then sell majority to a larger company. He goes over this a lot in the opportunity, and why big brands. I mean, and he says it in the book, but it's freaking perfect, and people laughed about it. But Facebook bought Instagram for $1 billion.
Yep.
And it's hilarious. But then when you look at it, Instagram was growing so fast, there was no way anyone could compete with that. So that's basically what you're trying to do. You're trying to find a as micro as you can group of people that you can sell products to, right? He has multiple examples of exactly this in the book. But that's it, is you go as micro as you can, and you do not sell a product. You are a brand selling to people.
Yep.
It's to help people. It make their life easier. I don't know. I guess if you're selling like gym equipment, you're just trying to make their life harder. But in general, that's the goal. It's to kind of like sell out. And back in the day, I know for me, listening to all the rock music and everything I listened to, selling out was always seen as like a bad thing.
Freaking sell out, man.
Yeah. As you get older, you'll realize that there's different types of selling out. There's selling out and still being true to yourself, and then there's Nickelback.
Man, Nickelback has its place. Okay,
it's in hell.
It's for a lot of people it is in hell, but I will shamefully, without any kind of pride, say I heard a Nickelback song the other day, and the nostalgia I felt from hearing that song was enough to let the song continue to play. I think we have passed the point of, like, I don't think Gen Z even understands why Nickelback was so freaking horrible. And it wasn't because, like, they were this canned sound, which they are, right? Like, they are absolutely the sound that this giant company put together and put out there. Like, they nailed it as far as being a put them on the shelf and sell them type of product. They nailed that. The reason why they caught so much flack is because they were that, and we heard them everywhere we went for years. So it drove us all collectively crazy.
Chad Kroeger, the frontman for Nickelback, has gone on record saying that whenever he was writing a song, if it didn't have at least 4 catchy parts, he threw it out. But that, like, we brought people together just to make, like, the catchy, like, the you're gonna hear this music everywhere. We know records are gonna sell. We know they're gonna get ticket sales. Well, the same thing happened with Linkin Park, and it was just the opposite effect. They just had, like, they just loved the music. That's what they were doing it for. They were doing it for the music, and so it's an ebb and flow, right? But the goal for us is to sell out, become.
Yeah, I think, yeah. So that's the comfort side of this idea. I've told you this offline. Not that we've had any of these conversations online yet, but basically, like, I would be okay with not selling out if we could create, the Tractor Supply, the Dollar General, of the Bass Pro Shop world.
Right.
I literally, like, if we could create these little beach town, like, hubs of enjoying life, then I would never want to sell out. I would want that to stay my baby forever. But if, like, I do prove that that's a pipe dream.
Well, I mean, like, the more you want to say it's a pipe dream, just look at Buc-ee's.
Yeah.
It's a gas station that has everything that is exclusive Texas, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And, I mean,
I don't know that it's Buc-ee's, so I think you're probably going to catch some flack from calling it that.
I probably am.
Or maybe I got that backwards. It's like some people call it Boosie's, some people call it, like, Buc-ee's, and, like, now I'm gonna catch flack for saying who the.
All I'm saying is I want to go and experience one because that's what I understand. That is an experience. But anyway,
yeah, it's the Walmart gas station.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's totally doable. But that's the thing is, Ryan in the book has this, do this, whatever. But at the same point, like, it's a guide, right?
Right.
And so that's just what I'm saying. Towards the end, he's saying to sell, your majority share stock of your business to a larger company, and so that you have, because you'll still have a large portion of that stock to bring money into your home, but then you also just sold all this. You have a lot of money now, however much it is, that you can then also invest in other businesses.
Yep. Yeah.
However you want to.
Yep.
That's the goal.
Sorry, I can see I'm lagging, but yeah, that's it, right? Like, number one, yeah, if we could sell off a percentage of this business to fund other things, then absolutely. There's, I've talked about it on this channel a lot. I work in the energy industry, and I really want to start a business in which it's employee owned, where like these OGs of the energy industry are, coming home to retire, if you will, by managing these portfolio of power plants, into retirement. That's something that I would love this to bankroll, or on the other side of it is like, boats are so freaking expensive, and I feel like without cutting corners, you can have really nice boats for a fraction of what they actually cost. That is something that I would love to bankroll with this project. Those are the type of reasons why, yes, I'm with you. I would sell out to try to get those things going. But either way, we've got to get something going, because we're not getting any of this time back, All right. I think, we could talk all night on this. I kind of want to just give everybody, just a gloss over of what else is in the book, which is like, he's talking strategies for scaling your business, once you've got it up and running, including like expanding your product lines, increasing your, the different marketing efforts that you're putting out there, what you're outsourcing to make the, business successful. He talks about creating a business plan, which is something that here on this channel I want to get into soon. I can't remember if I did a short or not, but I did start like basically a simplified like business plan for dummies book that I'll do 1 or 2 episodes on. So he gets into that a little bit. He gets into market analysis, coming up with your different strategies there. He also talks about some of the common mistakes that he's seen, both in his own career and in people that he's mentored. And I'll go ahead and spoil that one for you. The biggest one that he goes back to time and time again is running out of inventory. You might not take anything else away from this book, but you will remember that running out of inventory is the worst thing you can do as a business owner. Let's see. I've got a few other notes here. He talks about, creating a scalable business, which is perfect for us, right? Because like that's what we're trying to do here. Like sell out, don't sell out. Make $1 million, make $1 billion. I want to do it as efficiently as possible, no matter how successful we are. I want to be able to provide a great living for the people that are working with us. I want to be able to provide a, high quality of life for those people, but I will not stand for waste. I will not stand for, having these people that just kind of quiet quit. I'm so sick of that, whatever that is, and I understand it. Don't think I don't get it. I do, but I'm not about that life. I'm about like, let's put in the work. Let's get this stuff done, and we're not going to carry the dead weight with us. And so that's what I'm talking about. Like with scalability, you can't have that. You've got to figure out your process. You've got to figure out what you can outsource, which is, perfect for that type of mentality. And then, just to kind of cap it off as far as just a general synopsis of, this book, he gives us a few examples, and unfortunately a few of them are like the same examples other authors have given as well in their books, but like he gives a few examples of entrepreneurs that he knows, how they got there, and some of the challenges that they face getting there. It's like it's your run-of-the-mill like business success book, but this one had extra little bit of like fire me up in it,
Yeah, and my brain, whatever. I was just thinking about there's this guy that keeps popping up on my shorts feed, and it's a guy who is literally making his own shoe company. And for whatever reason, one of them popped up in my head. One of the other things that he kind of goes over in the book, I wish I had a copy of it so I could hold it up. But one of the things he goes over is where to go to get your inventory and stuff like that. How to get your product made. It was funny because for whatever reason, you were talking about stuff, and I was like, oh yeah, that would probably be something interesting to talk about. But we're not going to cover everything. This is just an introduction to the book, and I think this. But the short, going back, the guy who's trying to make his own sneaker company, I was thinking about it, and he had a video of him receiving a shipment of his shoes, and then him bringing them in, and doing the packaging himself, and just something clicked, and I was just like, oh wait, I completely understand what's going on right there. He can't possibly make his own shoes. He has the idea, and he has that part outsourced, and it's just, anyway. Find a book and read it, and you'll learn something. It's just that simple.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point, though, man. And that's, I've been on the fringe of businesses for so long that I've understood that and almost forgot about it. But like, maybe that's something that you don't know. Like, a lot of businesses don't actually make the products that you're buying that have their brand name on them. It is a, collaborative effort where these contract manufacturers more than likely are making the products that you're buying for the company that's, actually coming up with the idea and selling them to you, the consumer. That's a good one that's covered in this book for sure.
If you are in any kind of business, more than likely you are in a business to where you sell some kind of service or some kind of product that the company that you work for, or something along the lines, sells a product, or you're making a product to sell, however you want to put it. Anyway, I just saw this in my real life, in my real job. Something that I just started doing, a procedure that not all the nurses do, and it wasn't being billed correctly.
That's a problem.
Well, it's fixed. Not 100% because of me, but it was one of those things to where a couple people all kind of mentioned it, and this, that, the other, and just called someone up and was like, hey, what's going on with this? Oh, I'm trying to figure that out right now. Do you have like 5 minutes we could sit down and look at it? I'm like, yeah. And anyway, fixing problems. Which if you're working for a company and you're not the kind that quits, then you realize that you have a place in that company, and hopefully it's a good company that cares for its workers. And when they see you trying to do stuff like that, they'll look at it, be like, oh yeah,
they'll look after you.
Yeah, that's hopefully. Yeah,
that's, I have a friend right now that's having a tough time, and he at no fault of his own, in my personal opinion. And I look at the situation that I'm in, and I've got like this sweetheart set up right now. It still feels too good to be true, doing what I'm doing. And it's largely due to who is my boss. I've got a really, really good boss, and it's like the only reason why I'm afforded this opportunity is because I was willing to grind it out with that same dude back in the day when I was coming up through the industry. And like, just in quality of life alone, the long nights, the early mornings to long nights, working by headlight and headlamp, paid off. And it wasn't that many years ago that we were doing that, but just like the tens of thousands of points as far as quality of life is concerned, returned on that investment are just, it's invaluable. And so, yeah, sure, I get the idea behind quiet quitting, and like you did go through, this job interview process, and you signed up to do this job. Why are you asking me to do outside of what I signed up for? I get that. But on the flip side of things, it's like, well, the job's got to get done. And if you quiet quit, well, that just means somebody else is going to have to pick up that slack anyways. So why not, get in there and let's all get it done together. And if you do adopt that mentality, what I'm trying to tell you is like that stuff pays off. People do remember, just like you were saying a minute ago, people will remember that.
And I don't want to get too much more into this. Every situation is different, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and you can't believe everything that happens on the internet. But like there was a store, and I can't exactly remember everything that happened. But there was some like coffee shop or something like that, and then the manager was really, really rude. Whatever. Anyway, just kind of bad work conditions, and she had like 80% of the staff walk out of the store at the same time. I don't know. We're talking about being at a normal job and then just being like, I'm not going to do any more work, but they're still going to pay me kind of stuff. But I don't know. Everywhere you have to...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's circumstantial, for sure. And I'm just making generalizations. You
have to live... I mean, hopefully you have a set of morals that you live by, and you have to live your life in such a way that when you lay your head down, you can go to sleep at night.
Speaking of that,
it's
getting late, bud.
I'm tired and I want to go to bed.
Yep. So I do think that's a decent place to, pause and just to, reiterate here, like, we are just starting this series. We plan to take you through everything that happens over the next year in this series. So we'll be checking back in periodically with you to give you an update on, okay, well, where has the idea gone from the last time we saw the dudes talking about this? And, I think we'll do an episode going into a lot of detail into what was in the book, and then we're going to do like this year-long series of trying to create a business based on this book to see how successful or unsuccessful we were with what we were taught here. So we hope that you come back and stick it out with us on this series, because I think we're going to have a lot of fun at the very least.
Oh, yeah. And just a heads up, I just kind of want to give even a more broader view of what we're kind of doing with the channel too. I'm currently reading Survive by Les Stroud. He did the Survivor Man, and if you know anything about any of those survive type videos that was on the TV, he was the real deal. He went out by himself. He had his own cameras. If you saw a shot of him walking up a mountain, well, that was the second time he was walking up the mountain, because he'd walked off the mountain previously to set a camera down to get the shot. Like he's the real deal. Because I do a lot of outdoor stuff, I feel like a lot of that stuff would be important for me to know.
Yep.
And I've actually been thinking about things, more safety. And what are you reading right now, Otis? Are you reading anything?
Yeah, I'd been focused on this book. I did the keto reset diet. I can't remember if I got all the way through that book or not, and I'll tell you, it was like pretty agonizing, the first couple of chapters. But then it got good. And, for those of you that might not know, we are in the middle of a challenge. At the beginning of the year, I was challenged to post a video every day for 30 days, and I absolutely bombed it. But I'm glad
you and I bombed it, so
well, I'm glad you did that, because it got me started up on my own personal channel, which I'm going to do a lot of fun stuff that I'm really excited over there on that channel, and what else? It got me into doing this stuff just in general. But what I countered him with is, okay, well, here's something that I've been wanting to do. Let's call it the 10% challenge, and it's basically a 2-stage challenge. Stage 1 is to lose 10% of your body weight. I've got that to spare and more. And then stage 2 is you take a measurement of your widest part of your waist, and then try to lose 10% of that. So it's going okay. But I realized, all right. Part of that too is it's a 6-month window. It's not like a whenever you can do it. There's a deadline there. You need to hit your milestones within 6 months, and we are roughly halfway in. So I'm doing okay, and I realized, I could do better, and it has a lot to do with what I'm eating. And with all the hype that's around, keto these days, I wanted to at least understand what was going on there a little bit better. So I decided to read that one. Again, I can't remember if I'm done with it or not. It was a beneficial book for sure. I'm actually at the very least on a low carb diet, which Brussels sprouts are high in carbs apparently. Yeah, exactly.
That must be why I love them.
Yeah, exactly. It's of course Brussels sprouts are high in carbs. Why else would I like them? But that's the kind of useful information that you get out of this book. Is better understanding, how to be successful in that diet. It's a fun little side note. I can't remember the author's name right now. I think it's Mark Sessons, something like that. Anyways, he owns the Primitive Kitchen or something. Basically, this book that we're doing, 12 Months to 1 Million, references the author of that keto book, because he started this small company just because he had a really big knowledge base, and he ended up creating all this kind of stuff, condiments. In my kitchen right now, I've got an avocado base mayonnaise that I had bought well before even reading that book. Yeah. Anyways, that's the book that I'm doing. Like I was saying a second ago or a few minutes ago, I've got this business plan book that I'm wanting to get into because we're definitely going to need that in the near term.
Right, and all these books, like my book and Otis's keto book, whatever the name of it was,
Keto Reset Diet.
Right, we'll be doing, reviews of those books as well. We're going to try to start bringing a broader subject, more subject matters to the channel.
Absolutely.
We finished finally recording our first book, in the process of kind of getting that out there for you guys. We're going to start this book, and then we're going to do some reading of our own where we because this takes time.
Yeah.
Right. But we want to start getting more content out there to you guys. So
absolutely. So we appreciate you hanging out with us for sure, and we hope that you stick it out with us and check out all the books that we're doing, and come and hang out with us on the next one.
Yep.
All right. That's all we got. Y'all have a good night. See ya. Y'all come back now. You hear?
Y'all come back now. You hear? Now go on. Go get your fishing pole. We'll be here tomorrow. Yeah, we about out of peanut oil though, but if you can bring us some peanut oil and a little bottle of propane so we can cook them fish.
Yeah, bud. Bring your cane buster with you.